welcome to the Mad Madam Mel podcast. This is a podcast primarily about knitting and fibre endeavours and whatever else I happen to be up to at the time. We're now on to episode 8, so if you've watched my previous episodes, thank you for coming back, and if you're a new viewer, welcome. My name is Mel and I live with my husband John and our 2 kitties and our chickens and ducks on a small holding on the Orkney Islands off the north coast of Scotland. As if you have watched previous episodes, you'll see I've changed my background. I'm further around in my craft room today. It's quite cold in the house, so I have the fire on. I'm sitting in front of it, huddled, trying to keep warm and getting this podcast recorded before my sister shows up shortly with food, which will be nice. Make a nice change. She usually lands just before lunchtime, expected to be fed, but today she's actually bringing her own, which is great. So I'm going to crack on as quick as possible, try and make this one a little bit shorter than it tends to be, and talk a little bit about my plans for Vlogtober, which is coming up in, what's today's day? Today's a Friday, so I've only got a couple more days and then I'm recording every day in October, hopefully, fingers crossed, for Vlogtober. So first, knitty things, yarny things. I have, depends on what your class as finished objects. Does one mitten count as a finished object? I have 2 completed mittens from 2 different pairs and 1 nearly finished pair. So first of all, I'll start with a finished mitten. I'm knitting, or I was knitting, I'm trying to alternate every other mitten so I don't get bored, but I have a pumpkin spice mitten. Oh, I love this pattern as soon as I saw it. This pattern, this mitten, is by Ellie of Skein Deer, and look at that, isn't that so cute? I had to, since it came out in September, at the beginning of September, I thought, oh, I'm going to do this pumpkin spice mitts. And I only have 1 so far, and I'm going to do the other one. I'm going to be casting on this second one either today or tomorrow. I finished this one about a week ago, maybe a bit longer actually, and I haven't gone for really high contrast colours on this. I wanted something quite... the original pattern she showed it is quite orange and the background colour is quite pale, like a white or a cream, but I didn't want something quite so high contrast. So I've used up some what I'm now going to call my yarns, old yarn stash that shall not be named yarn, for this. And things I would do different. Well, I'm going to do the second mitten and I'm going to do like Ellie did and invert the colours. So my background will be this burnt orangey colour and the detailing will be in the beigey colour. But when I did the cup on there's this kind of swirl design here. And what I should have done was I should have swapped hands, because I knit my colour work 1 strand in one hand, which is my I naturally knit English style, and my contrast yarn I knit continental. But the problem is that in the pattern, the contrast colour here is the orange, but when it came to do the mug, I should have swapped my yarns over, so the one that would stand out more or be more colour dominant, simply because I've been held to the left, I should have swapped to the background colour so you can see the pattern. So the little spits and spots all over the mug and this one pattern doesn't really stand out, which I'm not going to rip it back. It doesn't bother me that much, but it bothers me a little. So in hindsight, that was what I would change about it, and it is what I will do when I come to knit the second one. And if you look on the inside, it's got this wee little jack-o'-lantern there and this lovely pattern on the inside of the mitten. And the only other thing I changed about the pattern was I'd knit a pair of Flora mittens by Ellie. It was my first pair of colourwork mittens, and in it you when you come to do the thumb cast, what you do is you put these stitches onto a thread or something and you cast off the stitches here before you knit the rest of the mitten. And I didn't like having to pick up those cast on stitches when I came to do the thumb. So what I did instead was I also put these stitches here onto scrap yarn as well, and I just picked them up that way instead, and that's actually how I've carried on with my mittens since then. So that's, I have got the pattern to hand actually. Let's pick it off my pile. I only have it in black and white because I tend to print out patterns in black and white, but you see this should be more prominent, and I know this is in a much paler colour, but it should be more distinct. And when I come to do this one, I'm going to keep the coffee bean and the swirl on that one, because although pumpkin spice latte is quite nice, I wouldn't go so far as to say I love it, so I'm going to go with the coffee instead, and just keep the pumpkin and what have you at the top. So that's Ellie Skein Dyer, and I can't wait to get this finished. This is a fingering weight. The floral ones I did of Ellie's before were a double knit weight, but these are fingering weight, and I really like how these feel compared to the, I can see that a little bit better, compared to the double knit. The double knit's quite thick, which is good, but I do like these. These feel kind of like gloves, and they're really nice. So that's my first finished object, although that's technically, is it finished if it's only one? Second finished object, it's more mittens. I'm hoping to complete Ellie's knit along. It's a year-long knit along where you have to knit 6 pairs of colourwork mittens, or the equivalent, kind of like maybe these long wrist warmers that are all colourwork, and that's what I'm aiming for. I already have 1 pair of flora mittens, then it was my first pair, and now I'm knitting a second pair, and they're all purple and grey, pale grey, and I really like this combination. I made green ones before with like a pale yellow contrast, and there was mistakes in it, and my tension wasn't great because I was tensioning my continental yarn the same way I would tension with my right hand for English style, but I was finding my continental was tighter. So when I did the second green flora mitten, I adjusted how I was holding my yarn. So instead of holding it wrapped around one particular finger, wrapped around a different one, and it evened out the tension difference between the two hands. So my second mitten was bigger because this tension was looser than my first one. So they're for me, although they were intended as a gift, but they're actually going to be for me now, which is fine. And this one, this pair even, are going to be the gift that the green ones were originally going to be. And I'm not going to say who because you might watch the podcast. But they are purple and grey, and I love these flora mittens. And this has come out really nice in these colours. This wrist contrast pattern is so pretty in this purple and grey. And the second one is almost finished. I've finished the mitten, and I've started the thumb, and I've done the same. I held the live stitches when I knit the rest of the mitten, and for the thumb gusset, both on threads, and picked them back up, and I've knit maybe 3 rows of the thumb. That'll finish while my sister's here in a bit. They're not for my sister, so that's okay. And the yarn I've held is a complete mystery. I have a lot of really old stash. I have some really nice new yarns, but I have some really old stash. When I first started really getting seriously into crochet and knitting about 8 years or so ago, I picked up a lot of yarns from, you know, charity shops and such like. So I've got some really random balls. So I know the purple, I'm pretty sure the purple is an acrylic or acrylic mix. The grey I think has some mohair in it. Definitely got some wool in it, but not 100%, which is fine. For gift knitting it's perfect because you don't have to worry about people shrinking them in the wash and so on. So, and I really like these. I really love the colour of these. I'm going to have quite a bit of this purple left. I might be able to make another pair, something similar, but we'll see. So that's my second, that's finished object. That's almost finished object. So it's a whip, but it's nearly finished. Another hour and that'll be done. That'll be done today. So that's good. And I'm knitting these on my old bamboo. Always want to start singing that song. Need circulars, and they're 3.5mm needles. I knit quite loose generally. So usually have to go down needle size. I can't put the original pattern for Corswell. I'll be able to tell you actually. I have the pattern here. The pattern, another Ellie pattern, and I know they say knitting mittens becomes addictive. They are right. I never thought I'd be addicted to knitting mittens. It's really strange. The pattern calls for it says 3.5 or 4, so that's fine. And I have quite large hands, and the recipient has large-ish hands too, so that should work out fine. So let's think, what else have I got on the go at the moment? Well, I have started a sweater for the autumn. I've started the Quest sweater, and this one is by Caitlin Hunter of Boyland Knitworks, and I really like this design. I took a photo on Instagram, or posted on Instagram, of the colour swatch I did for the patterning here. I've had some yarn I want to use up again. Yarn that shall not be named. Once I get through that, I'll be happy. I have a lot of it. And I had certain colours that I wanted to use up for a sweater, and I decided upon this sweater. So I played around with different combinations of using them, and I hit upon the best combination that I really like. It's kind of got that retro kind of, it kind of reminds me of the sweaters I had when I was a kid. It's quite 70s, it had a lot of hand-me-downs. 70s, 80s kind of a feel about it. It's done in a Aran weight. I'm not sure if the pattern calls for worsted originally, actually, or Aran. I shall have a quick look. 18 stitches to 4-inch. Brooklyn tweed shelter. I'm not sure, that's worsted weight, so I'm actually going with a slightly thicker, and it's an Aran weight, and my gauge is coming out at 17 stitches. So I recalculated the pattern out and worked out I'm actually going to knit a much smaller size than I would have, well maybe not much smaller, but a smaller size than I would have because of my gauge, and I'll be knitting on a 4.5mm needle when the pattern I think calls for, I should know this ahead of time. I'm not that organised. It says, it depends, it's got like 3 sizes, 375s, 4.5s and 5mm for colour work. I won't be swapping for my colour work because that's fine, but I'll just be doing it all on 4.5mm. And I'm going to, this is actually a bottom up sweater, and especially because I'm changing the gauge, I'm not going to be doing that. I'm going to be working top down. So what I'll do is actually what I've already started is I've done a provisional, I'm dropping my stitches. I've done a provisional cast on in this scrap yarn, and you see I've gone a long way on this pattern, like all of 3 rows. 3 rows, well as you can see the body of it's going to be brown. So I've put a provisional cast on, and I'm going to knit the yoke bottom up, and then I will pick up the stitches and I will knit the rest of the sweater top down. And what I've done, or what I'm planning to do, is I've added an extra 8 stitches to the stitch count for the size I'm doing, which is a full pattern repeat on the yoke. And I'm going to centralise the pattern repeat, and then I'm going to decide afterwards, once I've knit the sweater down, it'll either be a nice loose fit positive ease sweater, or I've got that extra 8 stitches right smack bang in the middle where I will stick it and turn it into a cardigan, which is the plan, is to turn it into a cardigan, because I don't wear much. I'm wearing a sweater today, but I don't wear many sweaters, and certainly not high neck sweaters. I don't like a lot up high around my neck. This t-shirt's about as much as I can cope with, so I will probably stick it. But if it turns into a sweater, I've got the extra bit of positive ease to make it kind of like a throw-on, not huge baggy sweater, but you know, a loose fit, comfortable autumn sweater. So that's the plan, and I haven't got far with it, but that's one of my big knits for this next month or so, certainly through the autumn. What else am I working on? I think as far as knitting, working at the moment, that's it. I have always got ongoing socks, but I haven't really worked on them. I've been working on the mittens too much, but I have done some spinning, and I can't remember whether I showed this on the previous podcast. I can't remember, so I'm going to show it anyway, and that is some rainbow sock yarn. It's like so 80s rainbow sock yarn. I have 2 mini skeins of this. One's in a little bag here, one for each sock, funnily enough. And I got some rainbow fibre as part of my Christmas box last year. I'm not going to say where I got it, because I wasn't 100% happy with the fibre. It had too much felty bits in it, like it had been slightly overcooked. Not too much, it wasn't unbearably overcooked, but it felt a bit like somebody who hadn't been dyeing fibre for long, if that makes sense. And this was super wash, BFL, Firestar. This shouldn't felt overly much. I mean, I have some fibre here from America, from Created by Elsa B, and her fibre is spot on. It is beautiful. The most bit of felty bit you get is maybe the tiny little tiddly bits right at the end of her fibre is brilliant. This was not. So, but anyway, what I did was, it's a braid that's been dyed from one end to the other full rainbow, red through purple, in very primary rainbow colours. When I knit a pair of socks, I use around I can knit a pair of socks with 60 grams, 3 mini skeins, but they're a fraction short. That would be 60 grams. 65 grams is about right. Sometimes 70, depends on the fibre, on the yarn, but it's definitely 65. So 25 grams is plenty for toes, heels, cuff, because when I do knit a sock, mini skeins, it tends to be that little bit extra I could do with on the cuff, just a fraction. So I'm going to do the heels and toes and such like with this, and this is some of my own yarn, my own dye. I didn't mention I am a botanical yarn dyer. Bad businesswoman Mel. Anyway, so I dyed some of this. This is done with indigo, and I threw this in my pot, and I have cat hair on it. I have 2 cats. I always have cat hair on my own personal stuff, not on my shop stuff. That with that, and this is going to be some serious 80s rainbow socks. They are to recreate a pair of leg warmers I had as a kid, which were like sky blue at the top, sky blue at the bottom. There's a big band of 80s rainbow in the middle. So I'm going to do toes and heels and cuff in this, and then these. And the braid obviously is 100 grams, but I don't need 100 grams. I only needed around 40-ish grams. So what I did was I pulled all the sections of the colour apart. I'm getting quite pink in here. It's getting quite warm. I have to open the door. I pulled apart the different colours, and I ignored the bit where the colours overlap, and I just pulled out a split, divided the amount of yarn I needed by the amount of colours I had, and pulled out that many grams per colour of pure colour. And then I split each of those colours in 2, one for each sock. And then, because I'm glutton for punishment, I spun it really fine and I think I chain plied it. Yes, of course I did chain plied it to keep the colours pure. So that's what I'm going to do, is some rainbow socks, though I'm not entirely sure when I'm going to get around to knitting those, but we shall see. It'll probably not be before Christmas because I have some Halloween socks I want to knit and some festive socks I want to knit too. So that's my finished spinning object. So now we've got all of done things and things I'm working on, let's think about the future. Now, this kind of leads on to, in a couple of time, I'm doing Vlogtober this year, and I'm planning, if my Vlogtober goes well, that I can stick with it, I'm hoping I can, is to do Vlogmas. So Vlogtober, I have loads of, oh, that's why I'm getting hot, the fire's really picked up. It's getting warm. I have to open my door, but then it'll get echoey. Should I open the door? I'll open the door for a moment. There we go. And hope this doesn't turn up in the middle of me podcasting. So, I have lots of plans for things that I'm going to do during Vlogtober. Not just because it's Vlogtober, because it's Halloween month. I have a list like this long of movies to watch. The other night we were watching... What were we watching? We were watching an old movie. Well, I say old. It's not that old. We were watching an old movie. We were watching Pitch Black. And my husband's not good at remembering movies, and I don't know whether he's actually seen it because I watched it years and years and years ago when it first came out. And there's this particular scene where it's in the dark and the monsters, and John's like, ooh, he doesn't like scary films. And I said to him, you're going to have to get used to it. We've got October coming up. We've got a whole month of scary films to come up. So, plans. I have fibre plans, of course, as well as I have my Christmas cake to bake, and I have Halloween decorations to put up, and oh, tons of things to do. Anyway, I also have fibre plans. And the first fibre plan, because it's easy to get to, because I've already shown you, is to spin. Oops, I'm dropping things now. Is to spin some pumpkin-y yarn. Look at that. I've shown this on the podcast. I showed it on, I don't know if it was on the last one or maybe the one before, in part of my acquisitions. But I'm going to make some most autumnal yarn I've ever spun. I have 8 ounces here, so what's that, 225 grams, something like that. And these are going to be a shawl, and this is Rambouillet. It's 100% Rambouillet if I remember rightly, and I really like this fibre. I only recently tried spinning with this and I loved it, so I had to get these. I haven't decided whether to do a true combo spin, whether to do a randomised combo spin, or whether to spin this on its own and spin this on its own and use them in the one project. Can't decide. I'll pick the project and then I'll figure out what I want to do. So for example, if I was doing a stripy shawl, I may be more inclined to spin them separate, and then I can place the stripes where I want them. So I'm not sure yet. We shall see. That's the first thing. Second, the thing I dropped is, and I did mention this earlier, is some Halloween socks. Last, I think it was in January, I spent up this fibre. Here's fibre. How Halloweeny. I got some packs of random fibre from, I don't remember, random fibre, and they were mixed, blended tops, blended roving, and they weren't very well blended. They were just kind of pulled through a machine once, so they weren't knit together properly. And some of the colour combinations I didn't like particularly, so I separated them out and made them into ones I did. and I thought these look really nice together as Halloween colours. And what looks like black on there isn't. It's like the deepest navy you could possibly imagine. I don't know, probably, yeah, which I really like, because that makes these look, with this they kind of look black but not, so it's not really stark. It's really nice. And with that I'm going to use, as I don't think there's enough there, they've come out at kind of a double knit weight, but I'm going to use this for toes and heels. Let's see if I can get it to look like that. That's it. And this is some of my yarn as well. This was a random skein, which the colour hasn't come out like it normally would. That's my label. And it is called Lilacs, because it's a random one. It would normally be Amethyst, my colourway, but it didn't come out quite as it normally does. I think it was because I can't remember why actually. Anyway, it started with logwood, botanically dyed logwood, and this is the superwash merino nylon. So as toes and heels, that's perfect. And the main yarn is a mixture. So I noticed when I was spinning it, there was a few differences. I think the navy is a merino. The orange and green feels like Corriedale. The purple is either Polwarth or Corriedale. I'm not sure on that one. But that'll work really nicely, some Halloween socks. I'm not sure which pattern I'm going to use that yet, because it being quite a chunky yarn, it might be blueberry waffles. I have a pair of blueberry waffles and I really like them. They're really comfortable, so I might make a pair of blueberry waffle socks with those, and that'll hopefully be a quick knit with a mean so thick a yarn. And one of my other plans is to finally make the tortoise and hare gauntlet. Let me try to get that in quite close. By Kate Davies. And I've loved this pattern. I've got a bigger picture here. Since she first released this pattern years ago. If I put it that way, you can actually see the tortoises and hares. Isn't that cute? She's recently re-released this pattern actually with new photos. So this is the old printout. This one, I don't know, not printed out since she re-released it. And I've had the yarn for this for, I don't know, 5 years maybe. And I'm going to be using Jameson's Shetland Spindrift. The light's blowing out a wee bit there. And the plan is I'm going to use these colours, and the pale one is the background colour, and the brown is for the hares, and that rusty brown is for the tortoises, and the gold, I think it's called old gold, yeah, old gold colour is going to be for the, it's got like zigzag bands in between the different the different pattern repeats. Big problem. I said I bought these about 5 years ago locally, you know, because we live in Orkney. Shetland's just up the road, well, just up the water. I didn't realise when I bought them that I actually needed 2 balls of the background colour for the gauntlets, and I'm fairly sure I won't be able to get another ball of this. So my plan is, if you look on the pattern, we've got quite a wide cuff and then these Viking braids before the gauntlet. So if I use this for the gauntlet, and I can use another yarn for the cuff. So I found a ball of yarn that shall not be named from my stash in this colour, which when you hold it with that one is not that far away, especially with the braid in between, and I think that'll work fine. It's kind of in the same colour, it's that kind of softened kind of a colour. It's not distinctly cream or distinctly brown, it's kind of a heathered colour. I think it'll work fine. It's close enough so that you can see it's not the same colour, but because I'm not joining it, there's a distinct break between, it'll be fine. And if I start getting, I'll split this into 2 even balls, and if I start getting low on this colour, I will ignore one pattern repeat and turn it into wristies. I'm very tempted. It's got kind of half finger, separate fingers like gloves. I'm not sure if I like that. I might instead finish it here and put like on the pattern it's got like a thin band of one of the contrast colours. I might just do that at the edge of the gauntlet itself, but we'll see how it goes. Other plans, that's my plans, plus one more, because I said we're doing this year-long bit-along, so that'll be 2 pairs of flora, 1 pair of pumpkin spice, 1 pair of hare and the tortoise, because they would count as well. We're up to 4. Need 2 more. I'm planning on a pair by Lily from Nordic Stitches, which is the Scandinavia mittens, and 1 more wild card because I have a few planned, so it depends what takes my fancy next. There's a nice pair of like Christmassy ones by Ellie with like reindeer on, or there's also a pair called the Taxus mittens with yew berries and sprigs on, also really tempted with. But first, definite is the Scandinavian mittens. Now I'm going to struggle to show this without showing the pattern, but give me a moment. I've got it like there. And that's them. They're pretty, and they're quite a traditional design, and I'm going to make these for my nana for Christmas, and the plan is to use this pink for the contrast colour and then use like a white or an off-white background, possibly this if, oh, it's going to blow out with the light, woo, for the background colour. I'm trying to use up the old stash a lot for gifts, so I think this nice dusky pink with a pale, let me try and block the light a wee bit, will work quite well. I have a studio light on here to try and even, instead of it blowing out with the window, and oh my goodness, I am so flushed, but we shall see. This is really weird yarn. This is from my sister's stash. I nabbed this when she was moving house and she was getting rid of stuff, and it's like a, as a spinner I would call this a cable plied yarn. As a knitter, I think it would be called a crepe's a pancake, crepe yarn. You're not going to be able to see that, but it's quite, it's like if you were spinning and you spun 2 plies of yarn together, 2 strands of yarn, to make a twin ply, a 2-ply yarn, and if you then plied 2 2-ply yarns together, you get this cable effect. That's like that. So that's another future plan. There's loads of things on my queue. My Ravelry queue it's in the 90s, and I have yarn for most of it. It's a bit embarrassing, but those are my plans for the next few weeks. We'll hope I don't cast anything else. I'm really bad at casting on loads of stuff at the moment. I try to just keep, if you're on your Ravelry projects page, no more than the top row as whips. I'm onto my 2nd row. It's getting bad. Although I guess once I finish the floor mittens, I won't be on my 2nd row anymore. It'll just be the top 6. Is it 6 that's on the top? Hopefully that's enough. I'm trying to think if there's anything else before I finish up for today. I'm trying to keep this one short. It's not too bad actually lengthwise. I'm trying to keep it a bit shorter because I have got Vlogmas. Vlogmas is a weird bit. Vlogtober coming up. So yes, Vlogtober. Hopefully aiming for daily videos, which will be the following day to the bin recorded. So Monday's 1st of October, so I'll do all my recording for Monday, and then Tuesday morning I can edit the vlog and upload it, I hope. Or it depends how long I'm going to be. It should be short, or I could edit the night before and set it away overnight uploading. We have really slow internet here. For example, uploading a podcast takes all of a night and usually most of the next morning. It takes a long time, but hopefully with the daily vlogs they should be short, maybe it's a couple of hours. So if I just edit in the morning, it'll be done by lunchtime. As long as I've got other things to do that I don't need the internet for, or my computer for up until then. So we shall see. I'll see how it goes, but that's what the plan is for. So I hope you'll join me for that. I'm going to shut my door now. There we go. And the cats are fast off asleep. They're all asleep on the sofa because it's really toasty in here now with having the fire on. Although it's dying down now, so it's fine. They're both curled up fast asleep. I'll try and put some video at the end of them curled up asleep. They're very sweet when they're asleep. So, okay, thank you for watching my recent podcast, and I hope you'll join me for Vlogtober. It won't be my usual content from the podcast. It'll be extra bits and bobs I'm doing in the daytime, like making my Christmas cake, or just basically what we get up to, and what life is really like around here, not just on the podcast, as it were. So I hope you'll join me for that. But if you don't, you're not missing anything from the podcast. I won't be doing anything that I won't be showing later. No. Things that would be in the podcast, you might see me doing stuff whilst on the Vlogtober, but I'll still show what I've been doing in the next podcast, if that makes sense. So I hope to see you in the next podcast, if not in Vlogtober, over the next month or so. And yep, if you liked the video, feel free to hit like and subscribe. And if you want to find me elsewhere, you'll find me as Mad Madam L around the interweb, most active on Instagram, but you can also find me on Ravelry and Facebook and so on and so forth. Okay, thank you again for watching. Okay, bye. Honey Bobs. You're too hot on the sofa now. You're too hot.